Welcome, everybody, to the Trisbrina Show. I am Tristan.
And I'm Sabrina.
And tonight, we're talking about the QiBone Fusion Solution. These are your 3 keys to bone vitality.
Did you know that you begin losing bone mass as early as age 30? And by the time you're 50, your bones may already be 20 to 30% weaker, even if you never had a single fracture. And this kind of silent thinning is called osteopenia, and it often comes before osteoporosis, and it doesn't hurt until something breaks.
Yeah, it sneaks up. Like you said, it's the silent thinner. That's freaky. Well, consider these facts. 1 in 2 women over 50 will break a bone due to osteoporosis. And hip fractures in seniors, well, they double the risk of death within 1 year. It's crazy statistics. We've got another one here for you. The loss of mobility after a fracture is the leading cause of early dependence, decline, and depression. And we're not just talking statistics. I think we've all seen this in family members and people within the community. As they age, we see that decline happening fast.
Yeah, but here's the good news.
Oh.
Bones are living tissue, and they can regenerate, rebuild, and strengthen at any age, given the right kind of support. A very specific 3-prong approach, and that's what tonight's Trisbrina Show is about. I actually gathered just a couple more facts that I wanted to
jump
read.
in. Here we go.
In case you didn't relate to those other ones, just very quickly. You can lose up to 20% of your bone density in the 5 to 7 years following menopause. That's from a study done at UCLA. So that's 1/5 of your bone mass gone in under a decade unless you do something about it.
And just so you know, the reason we love statistics is because it helps us to pay attention to the things that are important. They're not to scare you because we have a solution, but they're definitely for us to all pay attention. We don't want these things to sneak up on you.
More than 95% of hip fractures are caused by falls, mostly sideways. So that's going to be usually issues with feet, ankle stability, and also balance issues. Only 20% of people fully regain their pre-fracture mobility after a hip break. That's from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons. So that means that 80% of people that fall live with permanent limitations, often losing their independence. So the good news again is, what if we can get ahead of that? And what if we can prevent some of those falls that when or if we do trip, we have more agility, or more aligned, we have more balance, our bones are stronger on the inside and out.
Okay, got a couple more?
Yeah, your bones stop growing at the age of 30, but they never stop remodeling. Now that's fascinating. That means bone is living tissue, so it's constantly breaking down and rebuilding. So if you don't stimulate it and do something about it, it just keeps breaking down.
I think that people think of bones like bricks, like they're just this hard structure that's inside your body, and their job is to hold you up like a wall. But the fact is, they are living tissue. Bone is tissue. It's constantly, as you said, remolding. And here's the coolest thing about bones. They're like batteries. We'll talk about the energy of bones today. But inside the bones, in the marrow, is where those fresh, beautiful stem cells are being created. And that's the remolding. They don't only remold themselves. They actually rebuild the tissues in the whole body.
I love that. I got 2 more. Only 15% of adults, that's not very many, only 15% of adults over the age of 50 get enough daily movement to support bone strength. And I'm going to say the right kind of movement. It says most people sit too long, move too little, and they age faster because of it. And the aging starts in their bones. And the other from the CDC.
Say that one more time. Aging starts in your bones?
Yes.
Like, just unpack that. Aging starts in the bones. So we think aging starts from the outside. Oh, you see it in your skin, right? We see it in your hair's changing color. Oh, you see it I guess in the posture, because that's bones. But the fact is, you're talking about the bones themselves, the height, but it's the rebuilding capabilities of the bones. Wow.
I was saying the CDC says the majority of people who fall once will fall again within 12 months. And without intervention, your risk compounds quickly. So we're going to address that first fall, and we're going to be stronger if there ever is a second.
We want to prevent the first fall.
Yep.
You know, there was this woman in my martial art class years ago, and she had a couple of kids, and she decided she wanted to get back in shape. And she was doing my martial art class. She loved the fitness part of it. She liked learning the katas and the forms. And we were doing just a simple warm-up drill where we were just sort of running down the end of it's called a dojo in martial arts school, run down, tag your partner, run back. And we were learning to run backwards. And she was just trotting backwards, and I heard, snap! And her ankle broke from just gently jogging backwards. Snap! And I didn't know what that was back then, but so often you'll hear now, people don't break a bone because they fall. They fall because the bone breaks. We often think we fall and smash and hurt your bone.
So,
it happens the other way as well.
They were in the bathroom brushing their teeth. They must have fallen down and their hip broke. And now they're like, no.
The hip broke.
The hip broke.
Standing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So we don't want this to happen selfishly to ourselves.
Yeah.
And our community has concerns around this, so we want to provide solutions.
And we've been working with people in our classes for many years on bone strength. I have a lot of friends, and we have a lot of students who were diagnosed with the bone scan that ladies, they all tell us to go and get it at that certain age, which I just got told and had mine first one about 6 months ago. But they tell you the percentage of bone loss. And I have students in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and late 80s who have not just stopped the bone loss, but have gotten bone density back. And it really is the approach that we're going to tell you about. You can't just approach something from one angle. I really love skincare. Like, I'm obsessed with skincare. I help all my friends with skincare. You can't just wash your face, right? Somebody can tell you, if you want good skin, wash your face. Okay.
That's like one leg of a
But guess
stool.
what? If I just wash my face and I don't moisturize, I need moisturizer. I need to wash my face and moisturize. And then what I found out really moved the needle for me the most is some type of exfoliation, so that I stimulated cellular turnover, so that I was activating my body's own ability to make more collagen and to shed the dull skin, so that bright,
You do know
shiny
a lot about skin.
Right? So now I find clean my skin, do something to activate cellular turnover, so I use the body's own magic, and then I moisturize to keep it supple. And that
You have a system.
I do. I have a system. And we kind of approach strong bones in a very, very similar way.
Yes, and we're going to unpack that with you today. We want to give you the solution, aka formula. And this is what we're doing, and this is what we're offering our community as a way to get strong bones. We like to think of them as bones of steel.
And in addition to sharing the formula with you, we are having a 2-day virtual workshop coming up. And the title of the workshop is Bones of Steel. It's 2-day virtual online through Zoom. We'll tell you more about it in just a little while.
I just led
Anyone
with the
who
link.
registers for the workshop, satorimethod.com/BOS,
Like
Bones
a boss.
of Steel. You also get forever access to the replays, and those replays are going to include 8 routines that we will even pull out of the replays that you can go back to again and again. And then here's a really important thing to remember if you're smart, is the faster you register, the less it costs you. The price goes up as we approach the date of
we
the
don't want you to
workshop.
leave the show right now. Don't worry. You're the first to hear about this, so you've got time.
If they're attending live.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, right now there's a super early bird, and the only people that are going to know about it is our community. So you definitely want to grab your ticket as soon as you can.
Well, let's talk about this QiBone. There's a very specific reason we call it QiBone. We'll talk to you about that in a moment. QiBone Fusion Solution.
Fusion, the 3 things.
The 3 things. So let's talk about the 3 things. Think about rebuilding your bones, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Okay. Now, I think most of us know about how to create more bone density, but just in case you don't, you have to tug on your bones. You have to load them with weight-bearing resistance. It can be your own body weight, it can be resistance bands, it can be light weights, certain movements that load the muscles so that they tug on the bones. There's other things from Qigong that we're including in this.
Things you can do standing, things
Yep.
that you can do sitting, where you're actually using your own body weight. And I would say the most simplistic way to explain this is that your body has the ability to create greater bone density, but it needs to get the information that you would like to have that. So there's certain ways that you can tug on the end of your bones that sends a message and your brain goes, oh, well, that girl needs stronger bones if she's going to do that. And that's one of the things, how the way that we make the bones stronger from the outside is what we're just going to call bone density.
But what we're going after is how to strengthen the bones from the inside. So I don't know how the masters of Qigong meaning energy work, and Qi meaning life force energy, they understood that the bones are like the batteries of the body. They not only help give energy and charge to the body, but they understood that the bones could rebuild the body. Stem cells. Now, when you do Qigong, you're moving, yes. You're breathing, very important part of building bone density, and you'll see why. You're also visualizing. Now, in Qigong, they call a specific type of training bone marrow washing or bone marrow changing, because they're going into the bones with their awareness, with their breath, and their movements. They're sending the qi inside the bones. They're visualizing.
Rejuvenating the bones.
Right.
And we were just saying a minute ago, after 30, the bones stop growing, but they never stop remodeling. So what can you do to keep them remodeling? Well, that's what we're talking about, that rejuvenation.
Well, the qi is carried and carries energy inside the bones. So you are able to stimulate the marrow. And that is what causes the body to have, they call it big qi, like you're buoyant with energy. So we will be teaching people bone marrow washing, how to do that in this program. And that's how we're stimulating that cellular regeneration with the bone marrow washing techniques.
And that's what I was kind of comparing it to, the exfoliation. How do you stimulate cellular turnover? How do you get your body to get rid of the old and replace it with the new? It already has the ability to do it. So how are these certain ways that we breathe and move that are needed between the washing and the moisturizer, between the bone density and the third step?
Oh, well, hold on. Before we go there, a little bit more on
open loop.
On the bones. And I had written some notes here that your bone marrow produces red blood cells, immune cells, and the stem cells that we've talked about. And when you practice things like Tai Chi, Qigong, breath work, certain moving meditations, it stimulates that bone marrow and it increases the stem cell production. And the stem cells aren't just for the bones. Those stem cells, they're like magic little superheroes, and they can turn into anything they want. You know how like a superhero can convert in from one state to another? They can convert into liver tissue. They can convert into hair tissue. Any tissue that's needed, that's the power of the bone stem cells.
Like if you have heard about these, would you call it a holistic doctor?
A naturopath.
There's
medicine.
Functional medicine where, let's say you have a problem with your knee. One of the things that they do is they go and they get stem cells from inside your bone.
Like your hip bone.
And they put it in your knee. Because these stem cells are little magic cells. They can turn into anything. They can do anything.
They're super
right?
transformers.
So your bones are where you make these magical batteries that can be used in all parts of your body, and your brain sends them to wherever you need them.
So we've talked about, like, our first pillar is to strengthen the bone.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing a lot of exercises, not just traditional weight movements, but there are certain techniques from Qigong where you're not just tapping the skin, but you're doing things on the bones. Mm-hmm. We're stimulating and banging on the bones to increase the density. So that's from the outside in. Mm-hmm. And then from the inside out, we're working on the marrow. So we have strength and we have rejuvenation. Yeah. So those are our 2 pillars so far.
He said banging on the bones, and if you're like me, nobody banging on my bones.
On your bones. Like that. It's not hard. Doesn't hurt.
It is. These are gentle things that anyone can do, regardless of the level. And we are always great about modifications. Like if you're kind of advanced, do this. If you're just beginning, do this. So we got you. Don't worry.
And there's a way to use your hands to gently, tenderize the tissue that creates a stimulation. It's known as mechanical stress on the bone tissue that stimulates something known as the piezoelectric effect, and that charges the bone. So we're going to be doing a lot of things for even the skull, all the bones, the whole body.
All the bones.
All the bones.
Bones.
Them bones. Let's talk about the 3rd pillar.
I love the 3rd pillar. The 3rd pillar we are calling alignment. The alignment architect. So if you think about alignment, it is so important. What if there was if bones are bricks, stones that you've built this beautiful building out of, I would say that alignment is your foundation. And if the foundation is off, no matter how strong those bricks are, that building's coming down. Have you ever heard someone say, oh my gosh, we just found out the foundation of our house is cracked? It's just the foundation, right? But that's going to mess with the alignment of the house. It's going to make everything else fall. So in order for we need strong bones, but we need to have them in place. There's things that hold the bones in place. Sometimes it's the space between the bones that we also have to make strong. So we're going to be looking at how the bones attach to each other. How do they attach to the muscles? What about the joints? Is there enough space? Right? A lot of people go, it hurts, it's bone on bone. Maybe an alignment issue. And with our backgrounds from ballet and physical therapy and martial arts, we have such a wealth of information on proper alignment. And another thing that is so important with alignment is if you don't practice proper alignment, it's like your body will get stiff and stuck. And there's so many studies, and we'll be sharing these during the workshop, about as we age, people stop having proper alignment and we start using shoes to align our feet. But we don't ever work our toes anymore. We lose the flexibility of our ankle. Huge. Our shins get tight, our calves get tight. We stop bending our knees because it hurts. Then what happens when you have a little trip or you're walking and all of a sudden it's slightly uneven? People fall. They fall because the feet are supposed to be the most mobile part of the body. They're like little monkey feet. They should go whoops, whoop, oh, got that, right? We have all these joints in our toes and we've lost the ability to use them. So we will spend some time in at least one of the routines getting that mobility back. So if you do have to walk on something uneven, your feet are not just like blocks of wood. They're back to what they're supposed to be.
Walking with blocks of wood. Put a block of wood on and try to walk around.
Yeah.
Well, no, we need the agility. There's 206 bones in our body, and most of them are in our hands and feet. Just think about that. Most of your bones are in your hands and feet. And without the movement in the joint over time can calcify.
Yeah.
So the saying, use it or lose it, is true. So it's important to consistently move the joints and the space between the bones that you said we call joint junctions. Again, back to Qigong, there are beautiful movements that massage the joints, that stimulate something known as synovial fluid, which is a lubrication for the joints so that they're not grinding. It also acts as a shock absorber, so the space between the joints is more packed. But you can also do Qigong visualizations. And so when we say visualization, we're not just saying visualize, everything is good, everything is fine, all is well. We're talking about using your mind to affect your physiology.
Quantum physics.
And every thought you have has a corresponding effect on your tissue and your energetics to the quantum equation. So using visualization and your mind, you're sending information into places in your body so you can fire the muscles more correctly, you can move the joints more efficiently, and you can educate the brain and the body to repattern the movement pattern. This is key, because if you don't upgrade the movement pattern, then you become that shoe shuffler. You become that person that loses the agility to find and rebalance and recalibrate their body. So we have to do things to stimulate the joints to stay spry and youthful. So that's a big part of what we want to do. I just want to finish with, I noticed in myself, and I've been a mover most of my life, when I've had certain...
I've been a shaker.
You've been a shaker, I've been a mover. When I've had, like, let's say a knee injury, right? Or like I had my back injury. Over time, it's like this zigzag effect. Other joints in my body start shutting down to guard and protect. And it starts to shut down the entire physiology. And you start to move funny, awkward. And if you don't fix that now, it becomes this new misaligned way of moving. And it's the new normal, but it sucks, right? So let's get you out of that if that's going on.
We're just going to read this data. Your feet, ankles, and lower legs hold the secret to better balance. Most people think balance starts in the brain. The brain is part of it, or in the inner ear. But for many adults over 50, the real root cause starts much lower in the feet, ankles, and calves. And remember earlier, we said that 95% of hip fractures are caused by falling, and usually sideways. Well, one of the reasons that when people fall sideways, they don't have the mobility, they don't have the agility, they don't have the alignment. They're missing this third part of the system. Therefore, they fall. Something breaks. Why? Because it wasn't strong enough. One leg of the stool. Why wasn't it strong enough? Well, they didn't do the stability exercises, but they also didn't work on the remodeling and creating new stem cells. So you need all
That's our equation.
Of these working.
The QiBone fusion solution.
So I have a quick little story.
Okay, and I have something to show on the screen.
Okay, I'll tell my story first.
Okay, and I'll just say before you talk again, y'all, this is going to be
so much.
We're super excited. We haven't had a Trisbrina Show for a minute. We really, really want you to get a lot out of this. So that's why there's 3 pieces. Again, just a quick review. There's the strengthening of the bones from the outside in. There's the strengthening and rejuvenation from the inside out. And then there's the alignment. Oh, let me put my pictures on the screen. It's the perfect time.
Okay.
Come on. I'm going to put them on. Look, these are the bones.
See more people just hopping
of
in here.
Steel.
Hello, hello.
Here's the superheroes. Here's the first one. Look on the screen. It's the bone builder.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun. That's the strong bones from the outside. And then we have the marrow magician. Oh, yeah. We're going to take you into the bone marrow washing. And let's not forget, we have the alignment architect. So that's your Bones of Steel superheroes. Plus, we will help you learn the prevention of not falling. Seriously, you did all those statistics of when you fall and the demise after. Some of you are saying in the chat about what that was like when you've taken a fall. It's such a pain in the bone, to come back from a fall. So let's prevent that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, to your story.
So my lady doctor said, "Hey, it's time for you to get your bone density checked," and I had never done it before. So it was about 6 months ago, and it was a long wait to get in. And I had an MRI. I'd never had a bone density scan. I didn't know what to expect, but I did have some feelings like, oh gosh, they say that thinner people have more issues with bone density. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I have bone density issues and I'm the teacher?
That would be,
and I used to do more like stepping up and down on a box. Like I did jazzercise step and step aerobics, holding weights, and I really was doing that one leg of the bone density. I feel like alignment from all my physical therapy background comes natural, and then been doing the qigong. But anyway, I think we're all just get kind of nervous in that situation, and so I'm in there with the nurse, and I'm in the little tubey thing, and it's going around, and then she said that she could see the results right then, and so I was like, I know they're not supposed to tell you, and I'm like, what do you think? And she was like putting on pretend sunglasses. She goes, your bone's so bright, I gotta wear shades. And
Really?
it's because the bones, when they're dense, they're really white in the picture, in the X-ray, because they're really dense. And so
you had some
we were
seriously
joking,
dense bones.
and she called me Miss Shiny Bones, and I was like, yes, thank goodness.
I like shiny bones.
I do. I like shiny bones.
That's awesome.
But it's something that there's also a lot of statistics about arthritis being connected to osteopenia and osteoarthritis and bone density. And according to genetics, there's a history of that a lot in my family. So it's something that there's just been like a little fear. And then I'm like, ooh, and I'm small. And then they said, oh, if you were a ballet dancer and you were super skinny, then you're going to get it. Well, not Miss Shiny Bones, because we're going to do the QiBone Fusion Solution.
That's right,
So
baby.
you can be Miss Shiny Bones.
There's a lot packed in the program. Here is the link to go and get registered. Right now, we're offering our super early bird for this. This is a $500 program. So you will see on the page, it's very discounted. So
And
when
as
you're ready, go grab a spot.
the price increases for registration the closer that we get to the event. Yep. Everyone can attend on Zoom. We would love to have you attend live, because we can have Q&A and take your questions and help you with things. But even if you can't attend live, it's still a much better deal to join now, because if it's right at the event and you're just purchasing a ticket just to get the replays, you're going to be paying double what the fee is right now. So you get access to the 2 days of replays and 8 routines that we're putting together. 8 routines specifically to help you create bones of steel. So just think about it. And these routines, they won't be long. So you have 7 days of the week and then plus a bonus day. So maybe you can use that one in February for like leap year. But you have like a quick routine that you could do every day depending on which element that you want. Do you need any special gear to attend this? We definitely want you to have a chair, because we will be doing some things sitting, and we'll be doing some balance work, and as usual, water and pen and paper. If you have light handheld dumbbells, like 3, 4, or 5 pounds, we'd love for you to bring those. And if you don't, bring a couple of bottles of water that you can hold for a little bit of extra weight. And we will follow up with everything, wearing comfortable clothes. We're actually going to suggest shoes for some of the exercise, but with some of them, we're going to take our shoes off for those who are able to do that. Other people may have to work up to that.
There you go. So we are excited, obviously, to be bringing this to our whole community. Right now, just a small group of people are hearing about it, our friends of the Trisbrina Show. And then, of course, our dojo students. You guys are always hearing about it first.
Could someone
the
type?
The link is up on the page, and then
They're
we'll
asking if you can type it in the
drop
chat.
it in the chat for you as well.
It is the weekend of May 31st and June 1st. So it's the weekend after Memorial Day. The hours in Texas time are 11 to 4. So in California, 9 to 2. In New York, 12 to 5. And in England, I think it's about 6 to 11 at night. So we tried to get something. Can you pop in and out? Yes. If you can only attend one day live, is that okay? Yes. Again, you get complete access to the replays.
There you go. And there's your link a couple of times.
Thanks
in the
for
chat.
putting that in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. Like a boss.
Yes, you can share this with your friends and family. The discounted rate that's happening right now, the super early bird. So if you have friends, and we all do, and family, I mean, this is something, you have that aunt, you have that uncle, you know, your cousin, your mom, your dad, anyone that you're like, we know they need this, right? My parents are going to be doing it, and I'm going to tell my mom's sisters about it. She's got 4 sisters. this is something I think we all need to do because it's going to help you be stronger. The stem cells and the bone marrow that we're addressing isn't just going to help your bones. It's going to help everything. Same thing with the alignment. Yes, is it going to help your bones, but it's going to help everything. Think about when we look at somebody and we think, oh, they're getting older. Why? Alignment, bone issues. Let's turn that around. Then it's going to affect how well you breathe. It's going to affect your digestion. It's going to affect your sleep.
I was around a small group of men today at a...
Me too. No, I'm kidding.
It wasn't a bunch of women. It wasn't, and we were talking about health and stuff. And I said, well, my birthday's coming up. And so I said, what year will you be? And I said, I'm going to be 58. And I get that look from time to time like, what? That's crazy, right? And I do think that the Qigong is the secret sauce piece for what I'm seeing with our vitality.
Everyone in the chat is saying that. I'm so much stronger from doing Qigong.
In fact, I want to put a couple of those in. The secret sauce is the Qi. When you look at Qigong, if you study the history of Qigong masters, they have very healthy, long lives. It's known as the art of longevity. They're working with the bones. That's such a huge part of Qigong, is to take the Qi and absorb it inside the batteries of the body, the bones. They knew stuff. They did. Like, look at this. This is Christiane. She says, I've got 20 years of modern dance training, but 3 major surgeries on my right hip destroyed my balance. Your classes have already begun improving my balance, and I've caught myself 3 times, she said, from falling.
Because I had greater strength and flexibility.
Carolyn says, this is super important. She fell on concrete carrying a large basket. It turned out she'd broken a very small bone inside her right foot. It did heal quickly. We'll put that back up real quick. But I was in a cast for 4 weeks and a boot for 5 weeks, then PT. Don't want to go through that again.
No.
So let's not
Yeah.
unduly put this upon ourselves.
Well, we do have a funny story for those of you who haven't heard about what happened. I'll just tell the quick version of it because we want to let you go. When Tristan was a child, he lost a tooth, like a teenager, right? They had to pull it, and then life happened, and then budget happened, and never got an implant. And then we were adults, and we started looking into it, and it was time-consuming and
very expensive.
Very expensive.
Like 10 grand, something insane.
We put it on the back burner, and this is kind of a manifestation story. And then I feel like we were driving to the San Marcos factory outlet. I feel like we were on I-35.
Only you would remember something like that.
Going to the San Marcos factory outlet on a Sunday, and we were listening to music, and he just sort of said, you know what, maybe I should think about getting that place, because when you have a hole between your teeth, then your body wants to close it up, and then it just becomes difficult.
Well, my jaw was starting. It was a problem. They had told me it was really a problem.
Yeah, then you lose
because my jaw could have broken.
You lose the density, so you can't screw a tooth in there. Anyway, so on a Sunday, he calls and leaves a message for the specialist saying, I'd like to talk to you again about getting that implant and what we need to do. They call us on Monday morning and said, oh my gosh, this is so bizarre. We are doing a study right now. We need 10 people, and there's 1 spot left where we're going to cover the expenses for this new treatment where we draw your own blood, stem cells, and we spin it in a certain way to extract the good plasma. Then we inject it into where you no longer have any bone. Right. Because we can't put an implant in there because there's nothing to screw it into. You don't have any bone because it's been...
And I didn't want cadaver bone.
20 years that he didn't have a tooth. And then we cover it with titanium, and then we wait 3 months, and the big test is to see, does it grow a bone? If it does grow a bone, then all of that was free of charge, and we just charge you to put in the implant. So we were like
give it a
we
go.
signed up.
Let's do it.
And
Why
what
not?
was cool is when we would go in, there was like a lot of extra people there, and they're like, well, let's clean his teeth first. Let's do. So there was all these bonuses, and then they did it, and they put the titanium thing over, and they were like, if the titanium plate falls out, we're going to have to start
so uncomfortable.
Start
This
from scratch.
Thing in your mouth,
All
screwed
over.
into the bone that was still left.
And if it falls out, which is a good chance, it may, we will do it again, but you have to start back for the 3 months of bone growth. Okay, take over.
I just remember it started to become loose, and I'm like, oh no, right? Like I must have eaten something funny, or my teeth and my jaw moved, and now it's come loose. So we go in there, and it's no fun, like getting this thing drilled in and out. And they're like, okay, well, we're gonna have to put another one in. They take it off, and they're all like, you've already grown the bone. The bone pushed the thing out. And they're like, what?
And how many weeks had it been?
It was so fast. It was supposed to take 3 months, and this is like, maybe I'm on week 5 or 6. They're calling the guy that invented this technique.
Taking pictures in his mouth.
Madrid, in Spain, and they're like, doctor, is this normal? And he's like, no, what has he done? How did this happen? And I'm like, I do Qigong every day, and I visualize, and I have strong bones. My bones grow. So I grew bone in my jaw. So Bones of Steel, anybody? Sign me up. Let's go. No, I really do think that you're going to love the Qigong. You're going to love the outside in, the inside out, and the alignment techniques to prevent the falls and to have better posture. You're going to dig it. So go and get registered.
So much great information on that page, just as far as education. I think you're really going to enjoy it and share it with other people to help them understand maybe what have they been missing. Because maybe it's just the alignment. Maybe they're like, I'm doing the exercise, but they're out of alignment, so it's not working. You really need this QiBone fusion solution that we're the only ones offering it inside of Bones of Steel. First time ever that we've offered it. It's being offered live, and you get the recordings forever. It's happening the weekend of May 31st and June 1st.
All right.
Super early bird right now.
That's it from us for today. Thanks for joining us on the Trisbrina Show. And on that note, it's date night at the Truscott household. Much love, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Go take care of them bones and get registered.
Strong bones.
Boom, boom.